Are we on?
Yep.
Yay! All right. Thank you. Hey, everybody. It's Kate Richburg, and if it's Friday and I'm coming to you on Facebook Live, it must be Free Tip Friday. So it's Kate Richburg from beadshop.com. And it's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. We have me in front of the camera, and Janice is still learning some shooting techniques behind the camera.
Hi,
so
everyone.
She is going to be behind the camera, giving you a whole window into what we're doing today. So, you guys, as always, Free Tip Friday is to kind of gear you up for the weekend and to, start getting that creativity going and stuff. So I hope that you've got some great creative plans going on for Friday. We've had some great creative plans going on here. Oh my goodness. Janice and I and Emily, who you've met on our regular Facebook Lives, we are busy little bees getting everything all coordinated for our summer Facebook Live broadcasts, right, Janice?
Sue is saying that hello, can't hear you.
Oh, Sue, turn up. Let's just double check. I'm going to take this for a second, Sue. Sue, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to make sure, yeah, it looks like everything is working on our end.
Okay.
Sue, double check your volume settings, but this will just be a quick sound check. Can everybody hear me okay?
Melanie's joined us,
check.
Robin, Jennifer. Jennifer says yes, we can.
Is this
Yes,
on?
Elisa says the volume is good.
Perfect, okay.
Okay, Gita says I can hear you.
Thank you, Gita. Just a quick tip before I start expounding about our Facebook Lives. If you guys, it's something,
And Sue just said she turned us up, so
great.
she's okay.
Thank you, Sue. If you do, sometimes you have trouble when you're watching Facebook Live and you're watching along, and all of a sudden everything freezes. Or sometimes you can still hear the audio, but the video freezes. One of the things that you want to do if that happens is exit out of Facebook. Just close the Facebook browser on your laptop or close it on your phone and then rejoin us. Okay, go back to your Facebook app or Facebook page, go to beadshop.com, and as you scroll the feed, you'll see in our beadshop.com feed, you'll scroll, and you'll get to the live feed. Sometimes it's not right at the top of the page. So hang in there, keep scrolling, and you'll see that there. So just a couple of little tips. I know we've gotten some questions about that. But back to what we've got going on at hand. Janice and Emily and I have really started planning out the summer, and we've got some great things coming up for you. But I did want to mention, if you do have some things that you guys want to see on Facebook Live, or even Free Tip Friday, email me, kate@beadshop.com, with your ideas. I want to hear them. And Janice is cracking up behind the camera.
Because Jennifer said she heard me whisper just now.
Right? So Janice, when you're that close to the microphone,
I forgot.
they hear you. So just let me know if I need to speak more loudly or more clearly. Tell Janice to tell me to speak up.
Yes.
All right.
We have 50 of our friends out there watching now.
Hi, 50 friends.
Yes.
You guys, we really appreciate you hanging out with us. So
Oh,
thank you so
and
much.
Melanie thinks I'm so cute.
You are cute. I'm looking at you right now, and you are cute.
Thanks, guys.
So we had a really great Stretch Magic Facebook Live on Wednesday, and I thought for Free Tip Friday, I went through and I saw that there were a lot of questions that still stemmed from the Stretch Magic. So I've written a few of those down, and I want to address those today. So that's what this Free Tip Friday is going to be all about, is delving a little further into the Stretch Magic. So I'm going to scoot around on the other side of the table, and let's get started. Shall we? There we go. Alrighty. So again, thanks you guys. We love it that you stick with us, and we're still on a learning curve with all of our filming, but we love your feedback and your tips and all of that. So thank you. Alrighty. So you guys are familiar, right, with our Stretch Magic that we use for our stretch therapy project. we use, our default is the 0.7 millimeter. And we do that because it's thick enough to stand on its own, heavy enough, but also thin enough that I can double it over. Okay? And this is the one, we have a little pile here. This is the one that I made during our Facebook Live episode on Wednesday. And this one I've doubled, okay? And the one that Gracie Grace made during that time, she singled, okay? So both of these work. You can see, though, that the one that Grace did with the single strand is a little more supple. You can see we haven't even had time to cut off the tails of these. We've been so busy. But this one that I've done that's double is a little stiffer. Okay? A little stiffer. So it does handle a little bit differently. So a couple of the questions that we got, one was about the shelf life of Stretch Magic. And Janice, I'm going to also ask for your expertise here. When I was talking to my mom, I always talk to my mom on Wednesdays after the Facebook Live broadcasts on my headset as I'm driving home, or sometimes in the evening, and I ask her to give me a rundown. And so it was one of the questions that she had as well was, well, Kate, I have some Stretch Magic from way back in the day. Is it still going to be good? And my answer is that as long as it's been kept out of the sun and it hasn't, been damaged anyway that way, I think it should be fine. I have Stretch Magic in my collection, in my stringing box, that I've had for years, and it's fine. What I would do is I would check it like a rubber band, and I would just give it a stretch like you mean it, and if it's holding up, it's okay. I've also had some people say that they've had their Stretch Magic discolor a little bit over time. And I don't think that it affects the durability of your Stretch Magic, but I do think that sometimes this clear thread will just, it's the nature of the clear thread that it will maybe discolor. And that might be an indication if your spool is discolored, just to double check and make sure. But Softflex is fairly not Softflex, I'm sorry. I've got Softflex on the brain. Stretch Magic is fairly inexpensive. So when in doubt, just treat yourself to a new spool. What are your thoughts on that, JP?
Well, I remember in the old days we started out using a product called Elastoma, and that actually degraded rather quickly. And first it started discoloring, and then it got a bit stiff.
Right, and
hard, sort of.
That it was made up of a bunch of little elastic threads. It felt like that were fused together. Was that the one that we used?
No, it was just kind of a rubbery plastic.
Okay.
I think Stretch Magic has gone through lots of iterations from the original Elastomer or Elastoma, and that it's got a much longer shelf life. What happened to the square stretch with square? What happened to the square stretch with square holes? Robin asked. Square stretch. Square stretch. There was a square Stretch Magic?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
No. So if you could send us information on that, we'd love to know more.
We always love to know.
But I think the first sign that it's getting old is it starts to change color or gets whitish.
Kind of like my hands. The first sign of my hands getting old.
No, the first sign of your hands changing is that we know you've been working in the metal smithing,
right?
Like in your studio.
They're not too bad.
That's when we know you've been hard at work.
I've been hard at work.
And we encourage you to be hard at work.
That's right.
So Gita says she has some elastoma lying around for a long time, but I'm not sure if I dare use it. I'd say give it a try.
Yeah, let us know how it goes, Gita.
Yeah. So what are you doing now?
Hanging out with you guys and our viewers.
Okay, great.
So I wanted to also mention, we've got a couple of other questions.
Could I answer?
Sure.
Cindy's asked a question. Her Stretch Magic is from a different store, has a yellow label, whereas yours is blue, but they seem to be the same. Any thoughts about that?
Is it the millimeter size, Cindy? Is it the same? Is it 7 millimeter?
Sometimes the label changes to yellow if it's a heavier or thinner.
Yeah.
But if it says Stretch Magic,
It's Stretch Magic.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
Can you get one other question?
Sure.
Melanie wants to know, can you get Stretch Magic wet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you
That's the
can.
beauty of it.
Yes.
Yep.
So I wanted to kind of show you or talk about just real quick the crimping aspect of this. As you guys know, on Wednesday I went rogue a little bit because I like to go rogue on our closures. And I used a crimp tube for the closure. And so I want to show you guys, and I'm just going to crimp it, a couple of these in the round here. I'm just going to string on my flexible line needle. And I'm going to string on, let's pretend that we've got beads down here, okay? And I'm going to string on a couple of these crimp tubes. And I've just pulled it on. And let's just pretend that I've done a single strand of Stretch Magic, okay? How's Janice doing on the camera, you guys? Isn't she doing a great job?
Well, thanks, Katie.
I
Do you want
think-
me on the other side of you?
You're fine.
I'm
I think
okay?
everybody can see okay.
Okay.
Don't you think? Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
So I want to show you how, I really want to detail this so
We're
you guys
having a
can
little
see.
trouble hearing Kate.
Really?
That's what...
Can you, really?
Yeah.
Is it better? Can you guys hear me? Maybe if I'm muffling myself down
Maybe,
here?
yeah.
All right.
And Melanie, thank you, Melanie. She says I'm great.
You are great.
Oh, we have 100 people watching right now.
Thank you so much, you
No
guys.
pressure.
No pressure. Bring it. Give me 200 people.
That's right.
Everybody come over. So I'm going to do 2 crimpings. I'm going to crimp one flat and one with the crimping plier. And I want you guys to see the difference, okay? Notice how I've doubled my Stretch Magic, and see how the Stretch Magic is laying side by side? If any of you watched yesterday the Softflex broadcast over on the Softflex Facebook page with Sarah Oler, Sarah used a lot of great bead shop products yesterday, and she also talked about making sure that your Softflex is side by side underneath your crimp tube. It's the same thing for your Stretch Magic. So I'm going to come in, and can you see right down there as I crimp it nice and flat and tight. Now I'm going to crimp this other one with my 4-in-1 crimping plier, and then we're going to look at the difference, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing, step by step, side by side. I'll turn this, JP, so you can see it. See how I also kind of hold my Stretch Magic? I kind of split the difference right there, so that when I crimp it, see how that Stretch Magic goes into its own little channel here and here? Now I turn it to the side, and I'll turn it so you guys can see it. Let me get it situated. Now can you see how that Stretch Magic, how that crimp tube is flat like a little taco, with the filling of the taco would go right there on top? I gently squeeze and fold, okay? And then I get the tip of my 4-in-1 and I give it a little hug, because I love you, crimp tube, hugging. All right, so let's take a look. What we see here on our flattened crimp tube is we can see that we've got some edges that are a little sharp, okay? And we can feel that edge be a little sharp. And there's nothing, if we look down, let me turn it so you can see it. If we look down the crimp tube and you can see the Stretch Magic coming out of it, it's really just flattened. It's not enclosed or encased, so it may pull out. But if I turn this over and I look at my folded crimp tube and we look down the side, see how each of those strands of Stretch Magic are in its own little capsule, right? Its own little house. Then when I come in to cut away, let's say this is my spare strand here, I'm going to cut away, isolating that strand and clipping it as close as I can. Now when I pull it, pardon me you guys, when you can see how I've cut it there.
Where are you?
It's just,
oh, there
I'm
you
right
are.
here.
Okay.
Gosh, you're real close, Janice. My hands are huge.
No, everyone is saying it's
I
good
know,
camera
good.
work.
Nicely done. You're gonna leave me and go work for Spielberg, aren't you?
I am.
You're gonna be a
Katie,
camera
I'm
woman.
never going to leave
Oh,
you.
thank goodness. Me too.
Never.
So look at that, you guys. How nice and crisp and closed that is. Plus, if I rub up against it, it's not sharp. So that's the difference between flat crimping and folding for your stretch magic. What I do a lot of times is I crimp side by side, 2 folded crimps, and I'm going to really pull this so you guys can see. See that? It's not going anywhere. So I have a lot of confidence in that crimp.
That's great.
Okay. So let me show you. Any questions, JP, so far? How we doing?
Let's see. Nice crimping demo. Good info for any time you use a crimp.
It's really true.
Susan says, wow. Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, Susan. So what I'm doing here is, you guys, I wanted to share with you how we use a guru bead. Now, some of you watched way back at the beginning of the year when we did our fresh mala
Can you show
projects.
us a guru bead,
Yeah,
Kate?
it's right here, JP. The guru bead is a bead that we use at the bottom of a long mala or a wrist mala. This, what I'm stringing here, is going to be just a wrist mala. And you've seen a lot of these.
We had just a question.
Yeah.
What size crimps are you using?
These, great question. Thank you. They're 2x2
Okay.
crimps. Great question. 2x2 crimp tubes. So a wrist mala has either 18 or 27 beads to it if you wanted to string it in the style of a true mala. If you are just using a guru bead at the end of a bracelet as a decorative element, then you could, use your own number. 3, 6,
So
9,
we
12.
got a couple of questions.
Mhm.
One was about the surgeon's knot, which we talked about on Facebook Live.
Yes.
Then the other was hiding the crimp bead inside of a
big
bead, right?
Yeah.
And Gita, thank goodness, thank you, is giving a link to where to find that.
Thank you, Gita. I'll
And
show
Cindy's
you.
asked if all brands of crimp tubes are the same.
That is a great question. And Cindy, no, not all crimp tubes are created equal. What you want to look for, and it's an excellent question, one that we're going to address. Janice and I and this whole staff really are busy creating our Facebook Live for next week, which is where we introduce, we reintroduce Softflex into our stringing repertoire. We'll talk a lot more about crimp tubes versus crimp beads and why we use them, but basically you want to use a crimp tube that has a thick wall, and that means that when you are crimping, if this is your crimp,
Wait, I have to, let me...
Can you get my
I have
crimp
to,
shaped hands?
well, I've got like your big...
my big thumbs.
I
Hold
don't
it.
know how to like
Here.
make it
Here.
smaller. There we go.
There we go.
Okay,
There we go. Look at that. Boom.
Oh, okay.
All right. There we
Okay.
go. If this is your crimp, pretend my big thumbs aren't there.
Okay.
And you're folding that
They're not
crimp
big.
in.
They're
not
not
so
big.
big. As you fold the crimp rounds when the crimp tube walls are thicker. If your crimp tube walls are thin, your crimp tube, as you come in to crimp it, they kind of collapse and kind of become really straight, and you'll see the difference. It's the difference between a rounded folded crimp and a folded crimp that has a super straight side. Okay, and the more metal that's inside the crimp tube, the better it hangs on to whatever material. I'll get it right up there, to whatever material you're crimping. Okay,
There we
so
go.
we use a crimp tube that has a nice thick wall.
Yep.
Okay, so let me continue on this odyssey here. of stringing along. I'm stringing along.
And Shannon wants to know, you could use a crimp cover.
By all
Yes.
means, Shannon. So I had, and I picked this up to show you guys. I used this roller bead. I'm going to try and pull this out. See how I double crimped? This was from Wednesday's Facebook Live. And see how now I can just kind of slide that bead over and kind of pull my beads all the way around so that crimp doesn't show. But I could, of course, if I didn't have that roller bead there, I would cover it with a crimp cover. And in fact, I have some crimp covers right here. And we're going to play with those more on Wednesday's episode of our big Softlex debut show. So 3, 6, 9, 12.
And you're using size 8mm.
I am. I'm using 8mm, and I've strung on 18 beads. It's a little small, so maybe I'll go 18. What pattern am I on here? I'll go with the traditional 27. How does that sound? Because the 27th bead will be the guru bead. Okay? So 3, 6, 9.
So Kimberly asked, can she use the regular crimping pliers, or do we need the 4-in-1?
If you have an old style crimping plier, which I don't even know if I have in here, but as long as it's a crimping plier that folds it, it's fine. We're reintroducing, and I'll pass that, Janice, so you can see the Xuron. We added the Xuron crimp because it has some different, I'll turn it this way so you can see it. It has some different channels for all of the different size crimp tubes, and we'll address that a little bit more on Wednesday. But if you have a regular crimping plier, just make sure that you use the correct size crimp. So this 2x2 crimp works in the regular, just regular sized crimping plier, not the mini or the the big one,
the 3mm or 4mm.
the 3mm.
So the really humongous one, you can't use the old plier, the old crimping tool, but you can use it with the 2mm. Correct? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And Gita has linked to the 4-in-1.
Thank you, Gita.
Okay, so you are over here now, and you're.
Mm-hmm. So let me talk to you.
Let me come back a little bit.
You good there, JP?
Yeah, I'm great.
You are great. Who's
no,
great?
I mean I'm like great, like I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You're great.
You know what I mean, great.
I do. I'm sorry. I'm just teasing you because it's fun. Did people hear that sigh?
I don't know, but Kate just sighed.
It's the best. So here's 27 beads, you guys, or 26 beads, and here's my guru bead here. And so to use this with the elastic, what I'll do is, with the Stretch Magic, I'm going to cut away. The guru bead comes in 2 little parts. And again, if you want to see how we use it with thread, you can go to our Making a Mala Facebook Live that happened at the beginning of this year. It's right on our Facebook Live page. But one of the things that we do, the secret to this, you guys, this is the thing. This little guru bead has 3, I want to make sure I show you the 3 holes. 2 holes in the side and 1 hole coming out the bottom. So your threads come in this way, and then they both go down that center hole. Now, you can give yourself fits trying to string this guru bead on, trying to get that needle in there. But we've come up with a little tip that I think is a great one. What we use is our collapsible eye needle. I'm going to come in just like a little curling ribbon. Can you see that, Janice?
I think so.
Here. No, let's get,
no,
I'm going to go a little, you're a little close. I'm going to get a little, I'm going to get a little further out. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Can you guys see that okay? I'm going to come in and I'm going to curl this just with the edge of my needle nose plier. So I make a little hook. See that? That's the secret. Now watch what happens, guys. Guys, in the words of your grandson Eli. I hook that hook in through one of the edges of the guru. And see how it hooks and comes out the bottom? Right there. Now watch. Watch with me. I string that one, and I'm using a doubled strand, so I'll go in. And then, whoops, I need to get a little closer. The eye of that needle, as you guys know, is small. And my eyes are older. Okay, I slide this on. The needle flexes down. Look at that. Bam. And now it's through. Easy as pie. I'm going to do the same thing on the needle that I strung on my doubled strand on the other side. Curl it like just gently. Sometimes I over curl so it's like a little twisted corkscrew of a ribbon, which you don't want to do. You just want to hook. And I want a good hook. There we go. Now I'm going to go through that other hole. Where are you? And just hook it in, you guys. Hook it. Bam. Look at that. Curls right out. Try not to let those other strands come out.
So you could actually use just one needle by starting with the side.
I could, and then cutting it off.
off.
Yeah, I could. I just wanted to repeat it for posterity. But the other reason why I didn't cut it off, Janice, is I just wanted to make it easy for me to keep having that needle on. So watch what I do here. Now I'm going to do the bottom. So I'm going to do it on that one. Can you show us that
hole?
Yeah.
Just straight on.
It's
there
pretty
you
big
go.
hole.
Yeah, nice size. Okay.
So now I'm going to put it on here. And see, this just slides through. And now, to make sure, hopefully I have enough of this to tie. If you don't, we'll just bring a little, see how this piece is a little short? Let's just walk some of this.
You're just walking it around
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna
get
just
some
walk
more.
it around.
Travel, travel, travel.
Travel.
So we had a question about, is the
Doing that.
crimping better than knotting? And we talked about that on Wednesday.
We did on Wednesday.
And it's just different.
Yeah, it is. It's just different. You know, we like to give you some alternatives.
I want to thank Robin for putting 2 pics up on Bead Shop Messenger. We'll take a look at them, Robin.
Great.
And Bonnie saying hi from Maryland.
Hi, Bonnie in Maryland.
I'm probably going to be near Bonnie when I move to Virginia.
That's right. There we go. So see how I just walked everything down? That little end came out, but I didn't fret. You know, it's not brain surgery, you guys. You're in charge. You are the boss of this thread. You're in charge. Okay, now I'm going to string those 2 through. Use my little hook to get it in there. Whoops, one fell out, so I'll just do that, and I'll string the other one in. Okay, and get it in there. Now, the bottom of this guru bead, it's big enough, the second part of this, so that a lot of strands fit. Okay, and again, I don't want to pull stretch into this, you guys. And what I did with my beads, I just color blocked them. I had this bowl left over, our leftovers from Wednesday's show. We didn't have enough of one color, so I just color blocked it. And then for this last one, I just split the difference and just put it right there, and I think it looks pretty nice.
Gita asked if we have any experience with the magical crimp forming tool that turns the crimp into a small bead.
That's the
I heard that sigh.
Yeah. You know, it's my philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is that the right is that the right saying?
Robin asked, is that the alien looking tool?
Yeah, it is. So what I have found, I was always a crimp tube and crimp folding plier kind of a gal. And I love the way a crimp cover looks. Okay? So that's my gig, so that's what I stick with. The magical crimping plier, what it does is it crimps down and it leaves your crimp in a little dome that has like 4 little pinched edges, so it almost looks like a little ravioli. Okay? And then you turn that tool and you flatten all those little ravioli edges down. To me, I wasn't very adept with it. I know that there are some people who love it. You really need to make sure, though, if you're using a magical crimping plier, where I ran into trouble was that if my crimp was too thin, it just didn't work. So if that's your gig, more power to you. Okay? I'm gonna go rogue yet again. And I'm gonna see if I can close this rather than with a knot. I'm gonna crimp this closed. And I'm gonna cover it with a crimp cover. All right, why not? And that's the other reason, Janice, why I didn't cut this needle off. So I wouldn't have to be dealing with 4 ends. I'm just really dealing with kind of like 3. This doubled over and that single. Though I know I don't have to justify.
Rasha wants to know if the beads are jade. Most of them, Rasha, are aventurine or African turquoise or Amazonite.
Yeah, so Amazonite, aventurine, which I'm really having a moment with right now, and the African turquoise. Here.
Is the guru bead crooked?
That's
a good question.
I need to just kind of, I need to play around with it a little bit. So thank you for noticing. What I'm doing here is, see how it's kind of it's a little goofy. So I need to make sure to ungoof it by flattening out those threads.
So if you slide
and then slide this up.
That
there
volcano,
we go. See that? See that there? How when the threads all came into line, see how nothing is funny. And I do want to take up, there's a little bit of extra slack in there that I want to take up. Okay.
Sometimes what I also do is I slide that volcano or teepee bead down away from the guru, the 3-hole, and then slide it back up once I have my...
Right, your tension correct up here. Yeah, that's a good tip. What I don't want to do, though, is...
Did we use the wrong hole in the guru bead?
No. It's the 2 sides, and then the bottom one is big. I think I did.
Huh.
Nope. Oh.
We use the wrong one?
You guys have such eagle eyes.
Yes, we did. We did.
Look at that. So look at no
Thank
crying.
you.
No crying in bead stringing.
Yes.
It goes out this way. I believe. Yes.
What a good...
Who caught that?
lesson. I think Kate. Another Kate.
You clever girl. I'm going back in the wrong way. I keep wanting to go to that other one.
Valerie caught it.
Nice. Good eye, Valerie. That's why it really pays to bead with friends, doesn't it, Janice?
Yes, it does.
Because the guru beads, when I've used them in the past, sometimes the center bead or the main big bead at the bottom, or the big hole rather at the bottom, is larger than the 2 side holes, but sometimes they're not. So I think that's what threw me for a loop a little bit when I cut this bead.
Sue said that was a great learning moment, and Melanie said, what a great team.
Yeah, good team.
We're
and then
all
you
a
can
team.
See that? And see how it is?
Look at that.
You check.
Look
Very
at that. It
well
takes a village,
spotted.
said Valerie. And thank you,
does.
Valerie.
That is great. Look at that. It's perfect.
Yep.
Oh, Valerie, you've saved me hours of restringing. So I'm going to put this through. We'll put our crimp back on. And that's one of the things, you guys. You know what? If you have a stumble or a misstep, you know, if I hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have had this learning experience. So I always like to say that our stringing moments here are like the teaching hospital, where I gather all of the interns around the bed and we, you know, check out the patient, you know.
So Susan asks, what is the purpose of the guru bead?
Well, the guru bead's a finishing bead or a stopper bead, and it's the traditional bead that's that we use to close or finish a mala. And you could use, when you look at our mala projects that we have on beadshop.com, or if you watch our Facebook Live broadcast from the beginning of the year, it's the first, we talk a lot about what you could use for the guru bead and kind of the purpose that it has.
And Dee is correct. The guru bead, in terms of meditation, it's called the guru bead. It can be almost any bead, but it's the beginning counting bead.
Right.
So you know when you are finished, when you've done so many prayers or
Right, your chants.
and when you get back to your starting
your marker.
point. Yeah, it's your marker. And it is used to finish your mantras. Yeah.
So here, I've placed all of my strands, and you can see, if you can see down the little tunnel of that crimp, everything is laying straight up against each other. Now I'm leaving purposefully a little bit of air because I'm going to add that crimp cover. So everybody breathe. You don't have to hold your breath. It's okay. I'm going to split. That was a reminder to myself. I'm going to split my threads here, and I'm going to crimp that down, and I'll come in, I'll position it, then I'll make sure you guys can see it. See that there, that little taco? And I fold it gently, just give it a little hug. You and the crimp tube are friends. Give it an extra little hug. And now I'm going to pull, I'm going to utilize the stretch, pick up my crimp bead, put it around the crimp tube, and see how
your crimp cover?
My crimp cover. See how I picked it up in the little jaws, the little opening of the crimping plier. I'm gonna kind of turn it around, fold it the other way, and then I fold it right on top. See that? And when I do that, I kind of go north, south, east, west on it, right? I crimp it here, and then I turn, and then I'll turn it again. But what I'm trying to do is keep it nice and round, close that little seam so there's no fuss. Okay? Now, what I think I'll do is when I clip, I could leave a few little ends there if I wanted. Okay? But that crimp tube, what happens, you guys, is it closes, if you can see, it'll stay on because it closes around the crimp, and the crimp prevents this crimp cover from falling off the end. Okay?
I love the way you divided your strands and put two to each side, so that when you did that first fold over, like the burrito, they weren't in the middle getting crushed.
Right, they
were getting hugged
each in their own little chamber.
In all the years I've done that, I never thought of separating them into each side of the taco or burrito.
Yeah.
Never thought of it.
Well, I have a couple of tricks.
And what size crimp cover, Cindy wants to know?
It's the 3 mil, I think.
3 mil, yeah.
So it's here.
And Dee is asking, which I was thinking, do you use a drop of hypo cement on the crimp?
I don't.
Nope. You just...
I don't.
You go...
could,
yeah. Okay.
but I don't. I never have.
Great.
So look at how nice
Look how nice that looks.
Yeah, if we do say so ourselves.
Yes.
This is when we go, what a good job
Yes.
we did. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to come back to the other side with my little mala. So I hope that answered some of your questions. You know, we really want to make sure that, you know, on Wednesdays, our Facebook Lives, they get so crazy, and you guys are so great with your visiting, and we love how our community is really getting to know each other so well. But I really like to go through, and sometimes I go back after the episode and answer those questions. But there were so many on the episode that I really wanted to devote this Free Tip Friday to continuing what's going on with the stretch magic. Janice, you have a question for me.
Melanie wanted to know if you go one size larger for the crimp cover to go over the crimp tube.
Exactly right. That's what I do.
Yes.
Yeah. So for Friday, you guys, we're setting ourselves up for the weekend, setting ourselves up for success. So we have this week, just as a reminder, if you haven't gotten your newsletter, this morning we have a special that's going on all weekend. Our check glass is on sale all weekend, and you guys know this if you've gotten your newsletter. If you haven't, when you shop with us this weekend and you put in check 20 in the discount code box, there we go, thank you. In the discount code box, we knock off 20% off of every check bead that you're getting, which includes our Checkmates tiles, our fire polish, all that cool stuff there. Okay?
Super Duos.
And Super Duos. And that sale ends on Sunday night, 5/7/2017. So like I said, we are preparing for a great Facebook Live on Wednesday. Janice has been hard at work doing a kind of a special little worksheet for you. It's really going to be amazing. So I hope that you can join us on Wednesday on Facebook Live. And that's it. I guess, Janice, any closing words?
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Kate, you did a great job.
Oh,
Everyone
thanks.
thinks you're a wonderful teacher.
You guys, back at you.
Yeah.
So we'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks for joining me at beadshop.com on our Free Tip Friday, and we'll see you guys soon.